What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream on the Texas Rangers Report. And in this live stream, we are going to be going over if the Texas Rangers should sign Michael Conforto, the former New York Met. But if this is your first time watching, make sure to subscribe because I'm your number one source for all things Texas Rangers related on YouTube. But also make sure to check out the Discord. That link will be in the description down below. We talk Texas Rangers things 24/7 on that Discord. So, the 2022 MLB season is about to get underway. Opening day is April 7th, but for the Rangers, it is April 8th. And most of the free agent market is pretty much been scooped up. Obviously, there's still some journeymen in free agency. There is still some bullpen arms, but the one guy that is still available in free agency is outfielder Michael Conforto. And this guy received a nine-figure extension last offseason from the New York Mets. And honestly, this was not the best time for Michael Conforto to hit the open market. He's coming off one of the worst seasons in his career, and then he got screwed over by the lockout. And now he's the biggest player in free agency to not have signed, and this is crucial. Like, still shocked he hasn't signed yet because he's missing out on valuable spring training time. And we've seen with players in the past that signing late can affect your season. So should the Rangers go out and sign him? Honestly, for the exact same reason that we were in on Trevor Story, I would definitely be okay with this if we go for a short-term deal. In the past, let me look up Michael Conforto on Fangraphs. But I would say he would definitely be a plus to our lineup. And like I was saying, you could have a 3-year deal, kind of like Story with opt-outs. That could work. And I do think Conforto is a guy who would take a short-term deal in order to maybe bounce back in the free agent market a year later. He's only 29. I think the Blue Jays could be in the running, maybe the Red Sox, but the Rangers could be a dark horse candidate. Maybe if the Tim Heyer's son doesn't link any rumors anymore. But we were in on Story. We missed out on Story. I know you guys say we still need one outfielder, a third baseman. If you sign Michael Conforto, could Brad Miller move to third base? Those are some options to think about. How could you structure the deal? We would lose another draft pick because Conforto does have a qualifying offer attached. So these are some things to think about. But would this guy help us? Yes. Does he provide value to the organization? Yes. Could you use him in a trade down the line? Potentially, because if it's a short-term deal, I don't see him being a part of the team's future in the long run. But we will see. Let me pull up Michael Conforto's Fangraphs. And honestly, I don't know why I have this glare. Like, it's not in any of the other live streams. From Samuel Sandite, Josh Smith has been impressive, like his plate discipline and his hard contact. Yeah, Josh Smith has been impressive in spring training. Another guy was Mitch Garver today, hitting 2 bombs. Bubba Thompson has been impressive. Corey Seager, of course. Those are a few guys. Taylor Hearn looked good. A few guys off the top of my head. I'm sure there's some that I'm forgetting. Let me share my screen real quick. Then we'll look at Michael Conforto's Fangraphs page. Here we go. So, Michael Conforto, he actually got called up at the exact same time or the same year as Joey Gallo. And they got called up in 2015, and Joey Gallo has a career WAR of 13, I believe. Michael Conforto actually has a career WAR of 16.9. Obviously, if Joey Gallo stayed healthy in 2019, and if he didn't totally suck on the Yankees, I do think it would be higher. But look at these stats. Like, obviously, this was the worst season of his career. Even in his rookie season, when he only played 56 games, he still had a 1.9 WAR. And I think it's worth noting that pretty much every season he's played in the MLB, he's had a weighted runs created plus over 100. So he definitely would be a good bat to the lineup. And look at his 2020 COVID year. Obviously, it was the COVID year, but if you were to prorate his WAR to a 162 game, obviously those stats don't always like they'll regress. But if you were to add that to 2.1, let me pull up the calculator. Um, if it loads, it'd be 2.1 times 2.7. Whoops. 2.1 times 2.7. That means he would have had roughly a 5.67 WAR on the season. That is really, really good. And obviously, if you did have plans on flipping him, just look at what the Rangers got in return for Joey Gallo. Or I mentioned in the past, you could sign a big guy like Story, or since Story's off the board, you can sign Confuerto and maybe flip him for an ace of a pitcher like Castillo, or to the Marlins for Pablo Lopez. Maybe crazy things to think about. I know you guys aren't, not a lot of you guys are in the mindset of signing a guy and then trading him right away, but definitely some things to think about. I just I don't know if the Rangers really do this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Should we go after Michael Conforto? If we did, obviously the lineup would be better. Where would he bat in the lineup? Maybe cleanup, if we're being honest. Maybe the fifth spot. Um, I don't know, but let's see where what the news is on Michael Conforto right now. Aggie Bro says, yes, I'm Conforto. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. Definitely, I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't say it's likely, but look at this. You look at Michael Conforto on Google, and you don't see like any teams as a front runner. Obviously, he could go back to the Mets. Steve Cohen has shown that he's willing to dish out money. I've heard the Blue Jays because you could throw him in at right field. Randall Grichuk isn't good anymore. Boston, I've heard that, but they said they would have to make a trade to make that work. But we have a spot open. We have money that we can spend, and he would instantly make the lineup better. And yes, we'd give up a fourth round draft pick, I believe. But if you think about it, like I said in the Trevor Story live stream, Seager's locked in 10 years, Simeon's locked in 7 years. You're not going to be trading those guys. This guy could be somebody who's looking to bounce back into free agency real quick, and you could flip him for major league talent like an ace like Castillo, or maybe some elite prospects. Because look at the guys we got back in the Gallo deal, and Conforto has definitely had like 4 WAR seasons, 3 WAR seasons, and that's basically in line of what Gallo did last year. From Sean McNally, I like the idea. Didn't think I would say this, but I actually trust our management to make right decisions. And that's really, I really do believe in that as well. I don't know where this dates back to, but just look at the Mike Minor trade. Obviously, we didn't trade him in 2019. Could we have gotten a decent haul? Yes, but we didn't. And then we trade him for Dustin Harris, and look how that is turning out. Dustin Harris wasn't even a top 30 prospect. He's flown up the rankings. It's been remarkable. You look at the Joey Gallo deal. We couldn't get an extension done. We were trying. Who knows, like how much the Rangers actually tried to get an extension done with Gallo, but it didn't work out. And now it's looking like we won the trade. We didn't get a top 100 prospect at the time, but now Ezekiel Duran is a top 100. Josh Smith is balling out. Glenn Otto pitched pretty well at the majors last year. And he has a good chance to be the fifth starter. He actually pitched today in spring training. Didn't do the best, but it's only spring training. And Trevor Hauver, an interesting bat. I'm trying to figure out any other deals. Nothing really comes to my mind, but I mean, we signed Seager. Under this management, we've all signed Seager and Simeon, and also Nate Lowe is a good one too. I think he was a nice bat last year. I think he had some strides to make, so I do trust our management. And if we don't sign Conforto, then I that's okay as well. But if we do, I do think that'd be pretty cool because I do think the management has knows what they're doing as well. From Nathan Kohler, I would like Confuerto. Seager has been tearing it up so far in spring training. So Conforto would definitely be interesting. Let me know in the comments what you think his contract would take. I'll look up what Fangraphs projected. Obviously, I think that'd be earlier in the offseason. And yes, Corey Seager has been lighting it up in spring training. He has 2 home runs already. He had a home run the first game in spring training, and he also had a home run today. And let me show you the box score from today. Texas Rangers. Let me share my screen again. Texas Rangers versus Chicago White Sox. But basically, Mitch Garver Corey Seager went deep off Lance Lynn, former Ranger, of course, and then Mitch Garver also went deep. They went back to back, and Garver also hit another bomb in that game as well. I think that's actually his 3rd home run of spring training. So let me see this box score. Let me know if you guys can see it. Interesting. It's not really showing me. I might have to go to MLB.com. From Samuel. Boris called Conforto the king of queens. We'll see. We will see if he goes back to the Mets, but the Mets haven't I don't think the Mets have shown too much interest. So we will see. From Samuel. Garver, Simeon, Seager, Lobo, Calhoun, and Garcia will be a good top and middle of the order. Yeah, so I think if you look at the spring training lineups, which I'm trying to pull up, I think that it's kind of representing what the real lineups will look like come opening day. I thought Nate Lowe would be a good leadoff guy because he gets on base a lot. And for a guy who's a first baseman, I thought he'd hit more home runs than he did last year, but he didn't. So I thought he'd be a good leadoff guy. However, it looks like Marcus Simeon's going to be leading off. So Marcus Simeon, and it looks like Corey Seager, and then Mitch Garver. and then Nate Lowe, and then probably Adolis. Yeah, because then you got the lefty, and then you got the righty. Still trying to pull up, but that's 5 good hitters. And then if you do sign Conforto, which I I feel like it's a long shot, but I still think there could be a chance. That's 6 good hitters, and Willie Calhoun's looking good in spring training. I don't have too much hope for Cole Calhoun. You have Andy Ibanez, but the top 5 could look pretty good for the Texas Rangers. I'm really excited to watch Mitch Garver this year. From Bryce Grissom, which one would he more likely? Which one would be more likely, Conforto or Pham? Probably Tommy Pham, since he would be cheaper. But I do think there's more upside with Michael Conforto. You could open up multiple possibilities with him. You could have him on your competing ball clubs. You can see this as an opportunity to sign him short term, flip him. But it would take some money. You'd lose a draft pick. With Tommy Pham, you get a cheap guy on a 1-year deal. His expected numbers do look good. I'm not sure if he's garnered any interest from any teams, but he is getting up there in age. So even though his expected numbers look good, could his um, could his performance just take a hit? Finally, I got to this box score. But do the Rangers feel comfortable with Brad Miller at third base? Because I do believe if we were to sign an outfielder, Brad Miller would platoon third base with Andy Ibanez. From Nathan Kohler, do you know if the games will be televised or not? Um, I don't know which games you're talking about, but so far there's been one spring training game that's been televised. It was on Bally Sports Southwest. So I don't know if your TV provider has that. That was a spring training game, of course, and the MLB regular season games will also be on Bally Sports Southwest. However, usually they don't televise all of the spring training games. I'm sure there'll be 1 or 2 more televised games. However, the Rangers have been doing some kind of radio broadcasts. You can go to the Rangers app on MLB.com, and there's a radio broadcast. So yeah, he said, Nathan says, I mean spring training. So yeah, I've only seen 1 game on TV, but the rest I've been listening to on the radio broadcast, and you can find some highlights on like Twitter and the Rangers Instagram. So real quick, let's go over this Rangers box score from today. So we had Glenn Otto on the mound. He pitched 1 1/3 innings, let up 2 earned runs, 2 hits. I mean, it's spring training, so whatever. I don't know who Paulie is. Dennis Santana got roughed up a little bit, but I don't really care. We put up 3 earned runs on Lance Lynn, a guy who was competing for the Cy Young last year, obviously a former Ranger. Let's look at how we did. Marcus Semien isn't doing too well in spring training, but it's whatever. Don't look too much into the spring training stats. He's only got 1 walk, but Josh Smith is doing really well. He with 1 hit and the walk, and the day prior or 2 days prior, he had a 3-run home run against the Cleveland Guardians. Corey Seager went 2 for 3 today. He had a home run and a single. That's his 2nd home run in spring training. Look at their OPSs. They're all super crazy because 2 days ago we had a game where we scored 25 runs against the Guardians, and we let up 12 runs as well. So it was a total of 37 runs in the game. It was crazy. Jose Trevino sucks at hitting, so he didn't even get on base. Mitch Garver hit 2 bombs today, and I think that's his 3rd home run this spring training, Wenzel got a hit. He also hit a home run in the game against the Guardians. Nate Lowe got a hit and a strikeout. I'm surprised no walks because that's what he does. Blaine Krim, whenever I was listening to the radio, he got 2 hits, but he was hitting the ball hard. Adolis with a hit. Bubba Thompson had a home run this game and a home run against the Guardians as well. Brad Miller with 2 hits. He also had a home run against the Guardians. Zach Rex, former Dodger, nothing to show. Ibanez, a walk. Charlie Culberson, 1 hit. And Charlie Culberson actually might make the opening day roster, even though he's just a minor league signing. If he does, he'll probably be a utility player, and we probably only play him against left-handed pitching. Willie Calhoun, 1 walk. He's having a decent spring training. Hopefully, he can get back to his former self. Yohel Polzo, remember he was with us in the majors last year. He didn't do anything today in spring training or anything at all. And Jake Marisnik, former Astro, he actually had a triple today. So yeah, that's our guys are actually performing pretty well. I mean, I'm not too worried about Marcus Semien. Who else isn't performing well? Trevino. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if we carry 3 catchers. I've heard people say it makes sense to carry 3 catchers because Garver's injuries, and you could DH Garver on his off days. We will see, but I'm not too worried about the guys that like Simeon, and it's good to see guys that are performing well as well. But I'm excited because this is our 3rd win in a row, I believe. Yeah, we're 3-1-1 with a tie with the Royals. Sean McNally, do you think we should put Josh Smith on that no-touch list for now? I like the idea of keeping him until we are sure Simeon pans out. Plus, we could trade him for a lot more if we let him develop. So what do you mean if Simeon pans out? This guy is he's a 2-time or maybe just a 1-time All-Star, but he's finished 2 times for 3rd in the AL MVP race. So this guy's a proven player, but those, of course, were only his 2 good years in the majors. Well, no, he's had other good years. Let me see, but they weren't. So I think he had 2 7-WAR seasons, and then maybe like a 3-WAR season. Let me see. Yeah, he's been a productive player in his career, like 2-WAR, 1.7, 3.9, and then he just pops off at 7.6, 1, and then drops off to 1.2 and then 6.6. So I don't think Simeon really has to prove himself. I think it's the other way around. Josh Smith has to prove, or I don't think it's really Simeon panning out. I think it's the other way around with Josh Smith. He needs to pan out. So yeah, Samuel Sandite. The bottom isn't that bad with Ibanez, Brad Miller, and Cole Calhoun. I'm not too sure about Ibanez and Calhoun, but I do like the signing of Brad Miller. He rakes against right-handed pitching. I think in the past 2 years, his WOBA is like a 380. If you guys don't know, that's weighted on base average. So it's in the 380s, and that's with guys. For reference, Bryce Harper's WOBA this season was a 380. But obviously that was his this was an MVP season for him, and that's versus lefties and righties. But that's just worth noting that in the past 2 years, Brad Miller's WOBA has been a 380 versus right-handed pitching. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and he's done pretty well in spring training so far. From Bryce Grisham, do you think who do you think is gonna be the starter for opening day? John Gray, 100%. Unless we trade for Luis Castillo, is definitely gonna be John Gray, 100%. So, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm super close, or we are super close to 500 subscribers on the channel. I think we can get there tonight. So if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure to do that right now and hit that bell. That way you never miss out on any future Texas Rangers Report videos or live streams. I'm going to look up what Fangraphs projected Michael Conforto to get. Although, if you didn't see it in a previous video that I did earlier today, the Rangers reached an agreement with 4 of their players today on arbitration hearings, or they avoided arbitration hearings. So they avoided it with Mitch Garver. He's going to get about 3.3 million this year. They avoided it with Willie Calhoun. He's going to get about 1.3 million. They also avoided it with Taylor Hearn and Brett Martin. Both those guys are going to get about $1 million this year. But a guy like Juan Soto, arbitration is basically, you basically get how you play. So Juan Soto almost won MVP. He's getting 17.1 million. That's the most ever in arbitration. The second most was Cody Bellinger 2 years ago. So these are all relatively affordable contracts for the Rangers. And usually it's teams always reach an agreement, but if they don't, things can get messy because basically the owners are saying you're worth this much, the players are saying we're worth that much. I think last year Carlos Correa and the Astros had to go to an arbitration hearing. I don't know which side won, but I think that's what they had to do, and that can get messy, and it can possibly lead to teams not re-signing players. So let's go to what's his name? Michael. Here we go. So they listed Michael Conforto as the 22nd best free agent. Fangraphs did as the 22nd best free agent on the open market, and this is what the people at Fangraphs actually projected early in the offseason. A 1-year contract, actually, with an average annual. Okay, that looks like they projected him to take the qualifying offer. So if it's still in line that he would rather a short-term like, obviously he doesn't want a short-term contract. Obviously in the long run he wants a long-term contract, but maybe he just wants a short-term contract with an opt-out, and he can prove what he can do, get back on the open market, and get the bag another year. I would definitely be interested in Conforto for sure. He'd make our lineup deadly, and then I think we could compete really soon. We just need to work on our starting pitching. We have guys like Jack Leiter and Cole Winn coming up. We still need to see if Dane Dunning and Taylor Hearn can be anything for us. We'll see what John Gray can do switching from Colorado to Texas. And obviously, I bet Castillo and Maley get traded at the deadline or next offseason. And there's big free agents next year with the Grom opting out, Mike Clevenger becoming a free agent, Noah Syndergaard becoming a free agent. I mean, that doesn't mean we're going to go win our division, but that could be a step in the right direction. Because if you look at teams like the Dodgers or the Astros whenever they went to the World Series, and I know they use a trash can, but if you look at like every single position, like there was not really anybody in the lineup holding them back. And obviously our lineup's getting better, but do we have guys in the lineup that hold us back? I think so. But obviously it makes sense if the Rangers want to stay away from Conforto, save some money for next offseason, and see what they have in guys like Andy Ibanez and Willie Calhoun before they completely give up on them. From Samuel Sandite, there's still 3 more weeks for season to start. Samuel will figure it out by the season starts. I definitely agree. I'm not too worried at all. And honestly, and then there'll be the reverse story where guys that are doing really well will probably cool off. Because not all of our guys will have OPSs over 100 heading into opening day. From Sean McNally, I feel like we're probably done with signings or trades. We got an outfielder in Miller and a pitcher in Perez. Definitely a little underwhelming, but we wanted outfielders and pitching. So I agree. I definitely agree. And I also think that the Rangers view the Culberson signing and the signing of Matt Carpenter as ways to fill possibly third base platooning and utility roles. Would I have wanted maybe John Means, maybe Chris Archer, Castillo? Sure, yeah. Or would I have wanted JD Davis? Yes, I would. But I mean, the Rangers did tell us our competing timetable is 2023. So it still does make sense to see what the Rangers have in guys like Nick Solak, Andy Ibanez, and Willie Calhoun. But like I've said here on the channel before, if they don't prove it this year, Willie Calhoun and Nick Solak especially, but Ibanez I think is older than all of them. If they don't prove it this year, I think they are out of Texas for sure. From Samuel Sandite, Sam Huff and Josh Smith would probably be up by June or July. First of all, Josh Smith needs to be added to the 40-man roster. But if he's raking, I could definitely see it. He ended the minor league season last year in Double A. Wouldn't be surprised if he started in Double or Triple A. The question is, when was he drafted? Because then that would tell me when he needs to be added to the 40-man roster. I can look that up right now. But I could see Sam Huff getting called up, but he needs to get better at the plate. Last year, there was a lot of good highlights from Sam Huff last year with his power, but a little underwhelming at the plate. So Josh Smith, drafted in 2019. Remember, he is a college player, so he will need to be added to the 40-man roster at the end of the offseason. So it could make some sense if he's raking at AAA and say an injury happens to Ibanez, or if Carpenters are actually, it doesn't really matter if an injury occurs and he's raking. He could be a call up because he's, like we've said, he's basically Whit Merrifield. Or could it be Davis Wenzel? Davis Wenzel, Josh Young, Josh Smith, all in the same draft. So, and they're all college players. So, obviously, Josh Young's injured, but I'm just trying to point out all those guys in that draft that were college players will need to be added to the 40-man roster at the end of the offseason. So, one thing that organizations think is okay, we're going to have to add them to the 40-man at the end of the offseason anyway, so why not see what they can do at the majors? But to take it even further, guys that are drafted in the 2018 draft that were drafted out of high school will also need to be added. So guys like Owen White, Cole Winn, those are the only two guys that pop or stick out in my mind. So could Owen White pop off and make it to the majors? Possibly, but the thing is, he hasn't pitched above A ball. I really do think Cole Winn will make it to the majors. It'll be interesting. I do think Josh Smith will make it to the majors. It'll be interesting to see if Davis Wenzel will. Again from Samuel, should the Rangers claim Matt Beatty from the Dodgers? He's not a bad player. To be honest, I didn't even know he was on waivers. So I know Matt Beatty. He was. I go to a bunch of Dodgers AA games. He was the MVP in 2017 of AA. But to be honest, I don't know too much about him stat wise. Do we have a 40-man roster spot to open up? Maybe. I'll look him up in a second, but I want to see what Fangraphs has to say about the best free agents available. But one guy I am kind of interested in is well, what's his name? He's from the Dodgers, Edwin Rios. That guy raked in the COVID season. He raked in 2019 as well. It's short. He didn't get a lot of playing time, but then he did terrible in 2021, and he also got injured. And I know that the Dodgers are really good. We all know they're really good. Could he be a 40-man casualty? It looks like Matt Beatty was. I know another one, Luke Rex, or no, not him. Luke Rayleigh was a 40-man casualty. But also, do we have like the 40-man spots to do this? From Samuel, Matt Beatty hit 270 last year and had an OPS plus over 100. Interesting. I'll look that up after this. So I'm looking at the top free agents or the free agent tracker. You look and see Marcus Semien at the top, signed with Texas. Correa signed with Minnesota. Look how genius Minnesota looks now for like dumping Donaldson and IKF and getting Correa. They look like a genius. Gotta find here. Is this him? No, that's Matt Harvey. I just need to control F probably. Tommy Pham still unsigned. Okay, what's his name? Confuerto. Oh, Conforto. Nope, he didn't pop up. Where the heck is he? Is there a search feature? Here we go. Michael Conforto. It looks like obviously he got the qualifying offer. It says that his projected WAR will be a 2.2. I think he can get higher than that. Where do you think Michael Conforto will sign? Because I really haven't heard anything about him. Even a guy like Tommy Pham, I haven't heard much about where those guys will go. But I'm trying to medium average. Oh, so they still predict over at Fangraphs that he will get only a 1-year contract. That is really interesting. Because look at this. A guy like Eddie Rosario, they predicted a 2-year contract with a guarantee of like 20 million and then obviously 10 mil a year. Over at Fangraphs, they're only predicting 1 year, 17 million. Would you guys be willing to do that for Michael Conforto? If it's only 1 year, I don't know if I'd be willing to give up a draft pick for that. But if you think about it, if we're not competing and you use him for trade bait at the deadline, and he's doing well, I I mean, we would lose a 4th-round pick for Conforto. Don't you think you could get maybe a 2nd-round type of value for Conforto? Maybe a 3rd-round value. So you'd probably get higher value than the pick you lost for Confuerto. But I think something that I would think would be interesting would be a 2 or 3 year contract with an opt out after. Well, obviously, if you do a 2 year, you can't opt. A 3 year contract with an opt out after the 2nd year. So I think that builds up good trade value if you want to trade him at the deadline. If you want to trade, you trade him at the deadline. You can trade him in the offseason if the Rangers are competing. You can keep him on the club and compete. And then if he doesn't make sense, boom, you can trade him at the offseason. Because I do think that the Rangers kind of need to get like the Dodgers or the Rays with their trades. Like obviously we still have those stars like Seager and Simeon. They're going to be here for a long time. But if you can get creative and kind of be cutthroat with some trades, I think you can get really, really good talent in the organization. Like I was saying, 3 year contract with a opt out with the 2nd and the 3rd year, which would allow Conforto to hop back in to the free agent market. But honestly, I was so shocked Trevor Story got 6 years from the Red Sox. But yeah, there a lot of the sites only predicting about a 2.5 average WAR from Michael Conforto. That's extremely interesting. Extremely interesting. That'd be along the lines of his 2018 season. That would still help out the Rangers because obviously I think his bat would be a plus. But would that be worth the signing, the money, and giving up a draft pick? Let me know what you guys think. Or should we just stick with the guys that we have? From Samuel, Dodgers are basically the Rangers farm system. I mean, kind of, kind of. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have been on the Rangers that were Dodgers top prospects. Peters, DJ Peters, Dennis Santana, Josh Spores, all those guys. If you look back at the Dodgers top prospects from years and years ago, they were top prospects. Brett the Geis, obviously Willie Cahoon, AJ Alexi, and many more. And then Corey Seager, I mean, he is a top prospect. From Sean, the Rangers basically used their opening day roster at the same time they were facing legit MLB pitching. True. Going back to the White Sox game, let's look at my brother said the same thing. So they're going against they went against Lynn today, Craig Kimbrell, Liam Hendricks, Garrett Crochet. I don't know those other 2 guys. I don't know if they're major leaguers, but those are legit MLB pitching. We put up, I don't know how many runs we put up with our MLB players, but if you look at the lineup, Simeon batting first, playing second, Seager batting second, playing short, Garver batting third, playing catcher, Nate Lowe batting fourth, playing first, Adolis batting fifth, playing center, Brad Miller batting sixth, playing left, Ibanez batting seventh, playing third, Cahoon batting eighth, DHing, and Marisnik, well, that might not be realistic, but him batting eighth, playing right. But that is true, Sean. My brother said the exact same thing. We're going against Lance Lynn. There was at least 3 other major league talent pitchers here. This could be really similar to the opening day roster. Obviously, I don't know if Marisnik makes team. He's having decent spring training, but he's not on the 40-man. And we did sign Cole Calhoun, so I do think he will be the right fielder. Obviously, if we sign Michael Conforto, which is probably a long shot, that would shuffle around some pieces. But this does look pretty similar to what the opening day batting lineup will be. And with the exception of Jake Marisnik, you just slot out Cole Calhoun. I wonder if you just have Calhoun bat ninth. That's Cole Calhoun. Or if you switch around some people in the lineup. Let me know what you guys think. What should put it down in the comments? What should the Rangers opening day batting order look like? And what should their bench look like as well? Because that's crucial. And in today's MLB, there's so many platoons. You have pinch hit scenarios. You have guys that will need to be pinch run for or defensive subs. Let me know. You got guys to choose from like Culberson. He'd need to be out to the 40 man, but him, Eli White, Matt Carpenter, Yanni Hernandez. Some guys to think about. Obviously, Jose Trevino, Jonah Heim. From Samuel Sendai, I would DFA Yanni and get Matt Beatty. Oh yeah, let's go look at Matt Beatty. I know who he is, but I'm just like not sure like how he's performed. He's not pulling up Matt Beatty. Is there two T's? Oh, wait, I just saw it. Let's see. I wonder if Matt Beatty has a baseball savant page. I wonder if he even occurred enough time at the major leagues. Yeah, one guy I'm extremely interested to see what he'll do at the major leagues is Edwin Rios. Also, a guy that he plays third, he plays first, plays the outfield. Doesn't mean he plays good defense, but is versatile. So Matt Beatty in 234 plate appearances, 7 home runs, like you said, 270 average with a 114 weighted runs created plus. That's actually pretty solid. Nate Lowe's was 115. Obviously, Lowe had a bigger sample size. But Matt Beatty's been with the Dodgers from 2019 to 2021. Looks like he provides decent base running, good offense. The COVID year was pretty bad for him. But interesting, because WOBA 339 in 2021, expected WOBA 307. Do I think it could be better than Yanni Hernandez? Yeah, I do. What positions does he play? Let's go see. Also, how old is he? He's 28, so probably in his prime right now. Left field, first base, right field, third base, DH. Pretty versatile. Let's see if he has any baseball savant metrics. He only has max exit velocity and sprint speed, so that means he didn't occur enough time. But does look like there could be something here, if we're being honest. Yeah, Matt B just doesn't have a lot of time at the major leagues. Let's go look at his splits. Because I do think the Rangers will be platooning a good amount. Let's go look at his splits versus righties and lefties. I'm sure he's favored against righties a lot, but you never know. Or maybe the Rangers could just claim him on waivers. Oh wait, yeah. So if Matt Beatty was designated for assignment, the Rangers they could trade for him, or if they think another team higher in the waiver order will claim him, then he they think another team higher in the waiver order will claim him, then they could make a trade for him. That probably wouldn't take that many pieces. So look at Matt Beatty. And this is versus left-handed pitching, which is interesting. In 2019, he didn't do that well, but in 2020, he raked. WOBA, that's his weighted on base average at 407. His weighted runs created plus at 159. And then going into 2020, and remember, 2020, he had a bad season. In 2021, his WOBA was 395 and 151. So this is really interesting because that's lefty on lefty, and he's actually crushing lefties. So I'm curious, is he, when facing righties, is he not as good? And no, he's not. He's not as good versus righties. His WOBA drops off. His weighted runs created drops off. That's extremely interesting. I wonder if you can fix how you. I've never really seen that drastic of a change, but obviously, I wonder if you look at his minor league stats, if it could be different. Thanks for pointing that out, Samuel. This Matt Beatty could be on our radar, especially with all the Dodgers talent we've acquired, especially with Chris Woodward. I mean, there's at least 10 guys that are on our club or have been in our club that used to play for the Dodgers. And another guy that I've said I'm interested in is Edwin Rios. So, in a crazy situation, we would have Luis Castillo, Trevor Story. No, I'm just, like I said, it's crazy. What's his name? Michael Conforto. And then we would, since Matt Beatty got designated for assignment, we would trade for Beatty to help out Samuel. And then we would trade for my guy, Edwin Rios. Look at this, 2019. All he does is hit home runs. His WOBA 413, expected WOBA 406, weighted runs created plus at 160. And then 2020 shortened season, 385 WOBA, expected WOBA 392, and weighted runs created plus at 144. And I think the Dodgers are going to have a 40-man crunch still. I don't think they're done adding. The Rangers might be done adding to the team. Interesting. Let's go look at their 40-man. I'll get to some of your guys' questions. But, I mean, if they're having to purge Matt Beatty, who else might they have to purge? But obviously, if they got rid of Beatty before Rios, there's something to like with Rios, in my opinion. Los Angeles Dodgers. But it's worth noting that you can move players to the 60-day IL, so you can move around players or make 40-man spots open more easy now instead of and in the earlier in the offseason when it had to be a strict 40-man. So from Bryce Grisham, who do you think is going to be the leadoff and fourth hitter in the lineup? Well, just basing it off of the spring training game today, it looks like Marcus Semien is going to be leading off for the Rangers, and it looks like Nate Lowe is going to be the cleanup hitter. Nate Lowe is interesting, a guy that I think should hit more home runs. He hit for good power in the minor leagues, didn't hit a lot of home runs last year. If he starts to lift the ball more, like I made a video on him, he could be in for a breakout year, but he needs to lift the ball more. More than 50% of his hits were ground balls. And for a guy that has good exit velo, that doesn't really help when they're going straight into the ground. But if they have him in the cleanup role, hopefully he is able to elevate more. So let's look at the Dodgers. Hanser Alberto in, Matt Beatty designated for assignment. So Dodgers would rather have Hanser Alberto, former Ranger, over Matt Beatty. Very interesting. Let's go pull up their 40-man. I'm always looking to see what talent the Rangers could have. 40-man spots were a lot easier to come by whenever we were rebuilding, retooling. So you can almost look at anybody to grab. Now those spots are, I would say, getting more limited. I would say there's some guys that's like, oh yeah, you can go, or yeah, we can get rid of you, but they're definitely getting more limited. Oh, see, they the Dodgers stuff Dustin May on the IL and Jimmy Nelson on the IL, but those guys will have to come back eventually. Who else? Who else? I'm looking for my guy. Yep, there's Edwin Rios. But I'm wondering how many free agents have they signed? Or have they cleared up all their 40-man spots for all their free agents? I'm not really sure. From Sean, if Willie, Solak, and Ibanez don't do well, put them in a bundle trade for anybody we can get. don't They don't really match our future if they don't start putting up good numbers. However, I do like them. Here's the thing: if they don't do well, who do you expect that we're gonna get? Like some garbage minor league prospect that'll never pan out. Most likely, if they don't do well, we're gonna just option them, or we're just gonna out or designate them for assignment. You know what I mean? It's not like MLB The Show where, oh, these guys are playing bad, but they have C potential. We can package them for a B potential prospect. You know what I mean? It's not really how it works. Um, and even if there was some interest, do you think the Rangers really sell them when their value is at its lowest? Just some things to note. Tommy Pham just signed with the Reds. Rangers need Matt Beatty. Interesting. Why the Reds, though? I feel like a competing club could have really used Tommy Pham. That is so interesting. A guy I've been really, Horace Lair and Tommy Pham, I've been really interested in on the channel, but why the Reds? I mean, at least Tommy Pham is going to be playing next year. The Reds are in agreement with outfielder Tommy Pham on a 1-year deal. Maybe I should go buy a sports card. I mean, going over this, if he stays healthy, going over the Cincinnati, it's a hitter's ballpark. He could really pop off. But I do think that Cincinnati just bought a player that they can trade at the deadline for sure. In the last week, Reds have acquired Mike Minor, Donovan Solano, Colin Moran, and Hunter Strickland. Very interesting. From Bryce Grison. Do you think Carpenter has a good shot at third base because Ibanez can be a little shaky at times? Actually, I do think he has a really good shot at third base because I think what's his name? What is his name? Charlie Culberson probably is like our utility infielder, outfielder, and platoons with either Cole Calhoun or Willie Calhoun. But I do think Carpenter could really have a good shot to play third base, but he would be a platoon with Andy Ibanez. Very interesting. Tommy Pham signs with the Reds. I really thought he would have garnered some interest from major league clubs. Castillo will definitely be a Rangers target at the trade deadline if we're competing. If we're not, who knows? But it could be a similar situation to that year where we acquired Cole Hamels. They acquire him, and it helps us for like get over the hump, but also like future years as well. I would get Matt Beatty over Conforto for the outfield. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder if Matt Beatty only being able to hit off lefties, is that advantageous? Is that not? Does Matt Beatty have more to prove? But if Michael Conforto, he's only projected to get like 2 WAR next year, 2.5. Could it be worth going and getting the guy like Matt Beatty? I'll say this right now. I do think Conforto, I think, is better. But would Matt Beatty make sense because he's cheaper? And I think he's better than Yanni Hernandez. I really don't think Yanni Hernandez is that great of a big league player. And we have a manager named Chris Woodward, has so many connections with the Dodgers. And just look at what our hitting coaches, Tim Hires and Donnie Eckert, have done to help guys like Eli White so far in spring training. He looks good. I looked at Joe McCarthy, who we signed to a minor league contract. He looks good. Our prospects look good. Matt Beatty could make some sense, but honestly, should we? This topic of this video, like if we sign, like let's go look at our roster: Texas Rangers. I don't know, 40-man roster. Let me just go look at a guy that we could get rid of. I mean, probably Yanni Hernandez. I'd be cool with that. But the reason I like Michael Conforto is I think he offers the team so many possibilities. Because he's a guy that's he's gonna want to get the bag. He's not gonna get it this year. You could sign him. Yes, you lose a draft pick, and you could use him as trade bait as well. Obviously, if you're competing, don't trade him, but you can use him to trade for prospects and get the farm system better, and then you trade those prospects for major league talent, or you could just use him straight up to get a starting pitcher. So who could we get rid of on the 40-man? I mean, we could get rid of Dennis Santana. That's possible. I don't think Josh Sports is. I don't think we're getting rid of him. We're not getting rid of Joe Barlow. Yeah, we could definitely get rid of Santana. I did like him last year. I doubt we get rid of Nick Snyder. We're not getting rid of any of our catchers. I'll be down to get rid of Yanni Hernandez. I don't think he really has much of a future. But besides that, we're not getting rid of Leody. We're not getting rid of Eli White. Eli White, he said that he's worked on his swing this year. He's fast. He plays all over the field. And Leody's still young. Maybe Zach Rex, but I really don't see much players that we would like get rid of. Like a lot of these guys are gonna be playing for us in the major leagues, or they're still prospects. Oh, there's Sherman Apostle. I think he's injured right now because I haven't seen him in any spring training games. But one player that has kind of fallen off the radar, but I'd be interested to see how he does under the new hitting coaches, because a lot of the guys that I wasn't too high on coming into season, like Wendell, Bubba Thompson, have really like done well. So I don't think we have too many 40-man spots up for grabs. But let me know what you guys think. I'd be down to get rid of Yanni Hernandez for potential power bat and Matt Beatty. Real quick, how many home runs did Matt Beatty have in when he was in the minors? From Sean Woodward, best Rangers manager ever, has probably had the most effect a manager has had on a team in a long time. It's kind of hard to tell from the outside right now, especially since we haven't had a winning season under him. But to sign big free agents, I don't think we've ever really signed this big caliber free agents ever in Rangers history. It's pretty cool. I think there's a good vision here in Texas. Like, he's turned around the clubhouse. They believe in the mission. So I need to find Matt Beatty's minor league stats. This has turned into the Matt Beatty live stream instead of the Michael Conforto live stream. Honestly, I'm really surprised that Tommy Pham just signed with the Reds. The Rangers could have used him. We definitely could have. The Yankees, I think the Padres definitely could have used. They could have used Conforto. They could have brought him back for sure. I think the Rays could have used him. Let's see, Matt B. Oh my God, he's a 0.1 win player. What's the difference? What did Fangraphs have him at? They had him at a 0.8. That's kind of a big difference, if we're being honest. So let's go look at his minor league stats. Oh my God, it just shows us all of his major league stats. Real quick from Sean again. Obviously a bit dramatic, but he has really helped with these signings. Also, guys, we're thanks to everybody that's still watching. Trying to hit 500 subs tonight. So if you guys aren't subscribed right now, please hit that red button. I would really, really appreciate it. We've come a long way on this channel in the past 1 or 2 months. It's been really cool to see the growth. And the big goal is to try to hit 1,000 subs. I know we can do it. It's not just my channel, it's our channel. So it's really cool to see, like Samuel, he's been here since the start of the channel 2 years ago. It's been really cool to see new people come, see the channel grow. So Matt Beatty doesn't look like he's a power hitter. 2016, 11 home runs. 2017, 15 home runs. 18, he only played 34 games, but 1 home run. Looks like more of an on base and slugging guy. I mean, he didn't really put up the best stats in the minor leagues, but could we use him? Maybe. The only guy I'd be really like willing to get rid of is Yanni Hernandez. But it's worth noting that the Los Angeles Dodgers do have a hitter-friendly park. Let's see. I mean, he put up okay stats. But I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to follow this one. But would he be better than Michael Conforto? That's the topic of this live stream. I'm going to end it here, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll keep it open for like 1 more minute. Should we go out and sign Michael Conforto? I do think it's probably a long shot, but would it make sense for the Texas Rangers to dip in and sign one more big-time free agent, the last big free agent on the market? Tommy Pham just signed a 1-year deal with the Reds. I'm curious if we'll get any more info on that. But should the Rangers go out, make that deal, I do think he'll definitely help out our lineup. And I think the most interesting thing is that you can use him for trade pieces to help out the farm, and that farm pieces can go help and aid the rotation in the trade, or you could trade Michael Conforto straight for pitching as well. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I appreciate everybody that's watched this live stream. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.